Welcome, welcome. It's Legacy Mentor Wednesday, where I draw cards about the letter of the alphabet and a keyword and phrase that will serve as prompts for you in living your legacy life, especially from a writing perspective. Yet you can use these for asking questions of yourself as well and or engage in mentoring connections with others. So the letter we have today is X. The keyword is assets, and we're going to take a look at commitment supported by courage. So let's start sharing them and see where we end up. So, with the letter X, I had fun with this one because I knew from a tree point of view it wasn't going to be helpful. But yet at the same time, I had some fun with this letter X. And it often stands for transformation or an intersection of some kind. It suggests the unknown, that X marks the spot kind of idea. But I also remember it as an XO that is on a letter showing affection for one another. And I remember when I got my first X and O from a young woman that I was going to date, and it was kind of a thrilling time. And that was many years ago now. So, X, we're going to lean into that. But as I sort of hinted at, there is no tree in Canada that starts with the letter X. So, what I thought it would be as X marks the spot of where you can plant a tree. And that's always an important element of knowing where that X is to plant the tree so that you don't do disservice to the tree and or where you live. So this is an important element. Maybe another day or on another channel, I'll share more about tree planting. And it's not always advisable just to go dig a hole, put a tree in, and it's done. There's a little bit more to it than that. But I also thought what would be kind of fun is extremity. Extreme challenge, discover the extremity. It's sort of like the word tremendous that I play with sometimes. So I thought I would ask you to consider this extremity as well. Having fun with words. Now, when it comes to the five words associated with the letter X, ex, exnea, exneal, uh, xylography, X Factor, Xerox. Whew, I'm going to have some fun time with pronouncing this. So let's do it in reverse. Xerox, there is the notion of replicating. You are going to Xerox the copies of your documents. Years ago, that was a very prevalent word that was used. It's a little bit like Kleenex. Xerox and Kleenex actually belong to a company, but they took on the sense of tissue and or replicating. And so some people still today, not as much, I would say, as, I'm going to Xerox that. Now we just going to print it or scan it. With the X factor, it sort of suggests something that's special. So you have that X factor. We think of that as some of our musical production reality shows that we see on TV nowadays. And the what's your X factor? What is it you're going to bring forward? Some people might lean into calling that your superpower. Each one of us has X factors or superpowers that we can tap into and see where it might take us. And that's very useful from a living legacy life point of view is if you understand what your X factor is and you can use it, you can actually leverage it in your writing, your crafting of stories and contributions and projects. The xylography, which is engraving on wood, if I had my druthers, this would be something that I would probably have looked into a few years ago and brought that one forward with because of my love of trees and wood. It may have been fun to look at it and see if I could become good at it with this engraving in the wood. Because I certainly appreciate when I see it and when I'm out and about, sometimes nature has engraved in the wood and shows some really interesting patterns. But there are those who are crafters, those who are artisans who can do this and just create such beautiful pieces of work that are notable for home, museums, whatever it might be. The exnelia, oh, I'm hoping I'm saying it close to it, is linked to hospitable. I think about hospitality, welcoming those who've not arrived yet. So it's a great prompt for living your legacy life is what is it that you're doing in living your life, your legacy, that is what you're going to leave with others that has a sense of hospitality for those who are still to arrive, welcoming them and being able to gift them something, future generations, intergenerational conversations, that kind of idea. And the exenia, which it means reciprocal, is this sort of giving and receiving. It plays itself out quite well if you are into something like mentor or mentoring, a legacy mentor. It's one of the things that I've learned along the way how important it is to look at this giving and receiving. And I go so far as the gifting. So I think of gifting from the heart, giving from the head. It's just a way to make a distinction so that I know where it is that I'm heading in my mentoring and which way am I actually approaching it. When it comes to the single word, it's assets. There is an approach I use called CAMS, Content Assets Management System and Safety. It's for when I'm working with others and we're creating assets. In this case, might be digital, might be touch, whatever it is that gives a sense of what it is that we're doing. These content that we're creating becomes assets. And over the years in my own company, between videos and images and documents, these are all assets that we have that were available. So, even from a legacy point of view, in your evidence boxes or folders, you have these assets that you can tap into. I'm finding great joy going into my folder and finding books that I started to write 20 years ago, going, it's still current. I think I'm going to finish it off and get it going. Even if it's only just a short 5 pager, 21 pager, or 144 pager, I'm just playing with all the things that I have now because it's a great way to say, from an intergenerational, hospitable point of view, hospitality, here's some things that you can watch, you can look at. And I've gone so far from assets point of view as that I put them into the National Library of Canada. I think it's I've got 6 books in there now, and I have a lot more that I'm going to put in. So it's kind of fun to say, hey, I've got some books in the National Library of Canada system. Now, from an assets point of view, let's just take a look at how I've got 5 ways of looking at assets. Are things of value that you manage? Now, that could be from a financial point of view, but these content assets that you have, but it can also be of the property, the home that you have. These are things that you're going to pass along, some of the traditions that you have. Assets can support your well-being and impact as well. The content that you're sharing and being able to gift that forward, that's great. But also being able to make sure that the assets like your home, you're still taking care of it, you're cleaning it, and making sure everything is shipshape to be able to live the life that you wish to have. The next one is the assets or the legal financial things. Often we talk about our financial assets and we go, okay, what do we have from a financial point of view to take care of ourselves? But I put legal in here as well as that another asset could be your living will and your wills and having those ready to go. Those are assets and being able to put them somewhere so that when the time comes and you do your transition, those who are going to be your executor, those who are going to help take care of your estate, your other assets. What do you do? And one of the great ones to remember is our digital assets. which links to number one, some of that content you created. Do you want your digital footprint of what you've done over the years to stay there, or do you want someone to go in and delete it? So these are things to be thinking about from an assets point of view. So let's add to it. There are the assets that are shared within the family, the resources. Could be the favorite ring that passes down. It could be a recipe book that you want to pass along. It could be any number of traditions, rituals that you want to pass along. And even with your friends, you have those deep friendships. And what is it that you can do to continue to support them? And then there's the assets, are what's inside your history boxes. Those clear boxes, those colored boxes that you stored things in, trunks, whatever it might be. I have over the last number of weeks gone through just about everything. And to my astonishment, maybe, I took about, I don't know, 1,000 poems that I wrote on different kinds of pieces of paper. And I said, well, I'm going to scan these and put them in there. And I went, no, I'm not going to do that. As I started to read some of them, I think that the books that I've kept now, which are some of my journals of my travels, but also samplings of the different um, years, places I've been. I've kept some of those and I got rid of a lot of the others. And I think back now of how many of those boxes I had, two, three of those boxes, and I moving from place to place that I kept walking them with me the whole time, moving them, storing them, doing everything. And in the last couple of weeks, I just went, whoop, whoop. That's a technical term for recycle them. So that's some thoughts about assets. So, what assets do you have? It's a great question. And to think about it also from the tangible to the intangible, the history aspects that you have. What is it around you that you find to be interesting? And do you want to keep them? Do you want to gift them on? What do you want to do with these assets? One of the ones that I mentioned is I'm really thinking through what my digital assets, what am I going to do? I have these YouTube channels, I have a website. I've been posting into different article publication spots. Some interesting conversations I'm going to have with myself, and I offer a reminder to you as well. When it comes to commitment and courage, I made a presentation at one point to a group in a nonprofit, and they had wanted me to touch on commitment and what I thought that was about. So I dug around into my own life and I found, here's an interesting way of looking at commitment. Commitment is really about your promise keeping. And it's a little different than expectations, which in some ways is sort of an estimate of what you're going to do. And this is how I remember it. From an estimate expectation point of view, I might say, okay, I want to get that first draft of my book in. I'll get it in sometime next week. I'm not quite sure when, versus a commitment and a promise is that next Thursday by noon, if not an hour sooner, I will have the first draft of that book to you so that you can read it over the weekend. There is certain certainty in the commitment that you make to yourself so that others can go, okay, there's a promise that's here and I will take care of it, versus the other one where it has a lot more wiggle that goes on with it, versus the other one, it tends to be there and you've got a sense it will actually happen. Now, from a commitment point of view, if you can't make that Thursday at noon, then you're going to have to make a recommitment. But is if you keep breaking your commitments, that's when things start to slide. Am I actually going to trust you'll make your commitments? So it's a really important word. If you're going to use it, then make sure that you complete that commitment. And so it's very much about staying loyal to your purpose. I have my own commitment to life, living a legacy life, and what it is that I'm going to be doing. Even though I probably might have thought there's a bit more of a expectation, right, estimate, that I'm moving more into that commitment from myself, my heart, my head, my hands. And it's even when it's difficult, I'm still going to fulfill that commitment. And that's proving to be really great at this point in time because I'm getting a lot of writing done and assets are being created, conversations are being had that are reciprocal, some really great intergenerational conversations as well. But the linking of courage here, that's kind of an interesting one, is what I'm thinking about here is that I have the sense that if I'm going to make that commitment, no matter what, I'm going to have the courage to take that action, even if it might mean going through some discomfort. We might talk about fear. Maybe I encounter some ignorance or self doubt or complacency, but I'm still with courage as I'm going to find a way through that so that what I can do is really make sense of what it is that I want to do so that it feels correct for me. And one of the ways that I look at it is that if you take a look at the word courage, there's COUR at the very beginning. And it's for you to have the core in your aging. Now, core means heart. So you have the heart to fulfill what it is you said you're going to do on the time in which you're going to do it. You have that courage. And people say to me, well, what is that? How do you do it? What does it look like? And I go, look at some persons in your life who have shown courage. What is it that's happening? What is it that informs you about what courage is about? And then being able to lean into that aspect of it for yourself so that you have this from your heart, head, hands, you have the sense of, I know that I'm going to work through this. I am going to bring my full being, having, and doing into it so that I can understand the why, the how, the who of what's going on. I have the courage. And when linked to commitment, you end up with commitment fuels courage. Courage proves commitment through bold steps. They're really well matched up together. I thought I'd share that with you is because that's an important element of living your legacy life. Fulfilling your commitments, having the courage to move through to have that happen. Having gone over these ideas, these prompts for your writing, and shared some stories with you, what is it that you could offer in the comments below that sort of sparked an interest or went, oh, right, that's something that I could do, or a suggestion you might have for us about what's courage and commitment, or a story of some kind? Add it down below because we can all learn together. And when we do, that is a really hospitable way in which to be with one another. And I always appreciate diverse perspectives as well. Sometimes I don't always get it correct. And some people have shared with me some errors that I've made, and some have been really lighthearted and fun. It's when I referred to what is a bed warmer as a bedpan. And someone said, I think you might not have got that quite correct when they gave me a comment, some feed forward. And I went, oh, true enough. So I was going to be selling, or I am selling my bed warmer, and I called it a bedpan. And I could appreciate why some people may not want to buy a bedpan. So I had to do a little editing. So these are the things that we can learn together, and comments below is really great. But also keep an eye out for a course that I'm creating that is pay what you can. It's sort of like pay me for a coffee, or you may say, well, look, I'll give you $5 today, and maybe a couple of weeks later, I'll give you another $10, whatever it might be, in a way of saying thank you. That's great. Because what I'm doing is I'm consolidating all my ideas around the hearth of legacy stories from a living legacy life perspective. In other words, becoming a hearth keeper of the stories that are in you and that you can share with your family and friends, and maybe even extend it out further and help others through being a legacy mentor, whatever it might be, sharing your stories. So keep an eye out for that. I'll be bringing that to the foreground, and you'll find it on this YouTube channel as well. What you're seeing now popping up, having gone through the presentation, are videos that I would encourage you to go to next. And you will find that what they'll do is they'll up your insights into living this legacy life. In particular, the playlist prompt, because I shoot these shorts anywhere from 50 seconds to a couple of minutes. And again, they're almost like daily prompts, and you can use those with your journal to shape and share your legacy stories, to live your story, to be in your legacy story living. Best wishes with it, and take care.